Hey guys, it's Mr. Disprazium here. I wanted to talk about the Division with you guys, specifically the Division subreddit. Uh, let's get something out of the way right off the bat. I'm definitely a Destiny fan. I love Destiny. I've been playing since day one. I've been playing since the alpha, actually. Um, in saying that, I'm definitely going to enjoy the Division, but we should clear some things up. First of all, there's not going to be any raid content in the division. Not at launch. Definitely not at launch. It probably doesn't exist. The reason being, the reason that I'm saying that confidently is because no company hides a major selling point of their game for it to be a pleasant surprise for their customers. You can hide tiny, insignificant details about the game, like, I don't know, little features that you find out later that are nice, pleasant surprises for your existing customers. You let the story unfold in a natural progression for your customers to discover, but you don't hide a massive selling point of your game um, from potential customers because you want it to be a pleasant surprise. So don't kid yourselves. There will not be raid content in the game, but that's okay. Okay, because raid content, there's this big hullabaloo about raid content, right? I love raids. I like raids in Destiny. I like raiding in WoW and Star Wars: The Old Republic and whatever other MMO. Name your flavor of MMO. I like raid content because I like the competitive, cooperative. Right, you get with your group of friends and it's you against the machine. Right, it's fun. It's fun, and when you finish it and you complete it and you get the gear from the raid, you feel good and you have a story to tell. And you and your friends say, "Oh my God, you remember that one time we took on Atheon and it took us 6 hours? Nowadays it only takes us a half hour." Like, these are good stories that you grow with your friends because when you're in a raid, you have you're in there for a couple of hours and you're all getting frustrated together when you don't succeed, and when you finally do succeed, everyone in the group is cheering and screaming and is happy except for the one guy who got no loot to drop from the boss. But you know RNG is RNG. Anyway, so there's definitely not raid content in the division, not at launch, but like I said, that's okay. So what will there be, right? That's the question. Well, I don't know. I don't know. But we have to have a discussion about it now, probably, because there's this. I get the feeling that a lot of the people in the subreddit don't really know what they want, nor do they know what to expect. So let's talk about how other games handle this problem, and we'll come back to Division. So the main point I want to make is having a lot of content is not as important as having reusable content. Okay, so here's an example. Diablo 3 came out a couple years ago. Not Lord of Destruction. What's it called? Reaper of Souls, right? So Diablo 3 came out, and vanilla Diablo 3 was actually really bad, and a lot of people were really upset about it. And it's because the campaign, while it took some time to get through it. It wasn't all that interesting, and the story was bad. LOL. Everybody knew that Diablo or Leah was Diablo, and blah 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 blah. Whatever. Spoilers. uh, the problem was that when you got through the campaign, it became extremely monotonous to do the campaign over and over again, and it wasn't all that fun, and it didn't feel like you were progressing. You didn't get that excitement that often, okay? But it wasn't because the campaign wasn't fun, really. The campaign was fine. The mobs were fine. The combat was fine. It was just the sense of progression wasn't there. It took too long to progress. And as you progressed, it felt too random. It felt like you were waiting for days to get an upgrade. And when you finally got it, you just had to get back to the grind again, doing the same high monster density Act 3 area over and over again until you were sick of it. There was no end. Having no end is okay, by the way. So anyway, Reaper of Souls comes out a year or two ago, And they add in this new content called rifts, which are randomly generated dungeons that go down X amount of levels, and at the bottom there's a boss, and if you kill the boss you get a big loot explosion, right? You know, it sounds on paper, it sounds kind of stupid. It sounds like, well, you know, why would you want a randomly generated dungeon with a loot explosion at the bottom without any story or any, you know, progression, or I'm sorry, any kind of linear progression, no real backdrop to it, just, you know, completely random and dropping out of it. Well, I don't really have the answer to that, but I can tell you that Reaper of Souls was infinitely more fun than vanilla Diablo 3. Infinitely more fun. So that just goes to show the importance of having reusable fun content rather than a lot of content that's not reusable. Okay, so let's talk about Destiny. Okay, Destiny has these missions. Their main story, their campaign, you know, just like Diablo. It's you are a guardian of light and you learn really not a whole lot. Destiny's story is really lacking, and I'm sure you've heard that before, but Destiny's story is extremely lacking. They don't explain anything in it. Anyway, when you get done with the campaign, you have shit for gear. Your gear is horrible at the end of the campaign. And in vanilla, you had to do dungeons, okay, which are 3-man cooperative instances where you go through a linear path. You kill this boss, you kill that boss, you kill this boss, and then you kill the final boss, and you get your loot, and you get your bounties or whatever, and then you start over and you do it again. And you do that until you get good enough gear to do the raid. And in vanilla, 2 years ago, there was only one raid, and it was the Vault of Glass. Now, the Vault of Glass was the best raid I have ever taken part in, right? And I've been doing raid content from every MMO, from WoW to, you know, Guild Wars, if you can call those raids. I've done lots of raid content, and Vault of Glass, it was beautiful, it was well-paced, it was creative, and it was just, I have very fond memories of the first time I did Vault of Glass. But even though Bungie developed this beautiful, intelligent raid, when the next expansion came out and they dropped a new raid, The Dark Below. The expansion was The Dark Below. The raid was called Crota's End. Okay, you had to go kill this hive motherfucker. Okay. The raid was bad. It wasn't as good as the first one. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't as good as the first one, but they did something so stupid, and to this day, I cannot figure it out. They decided to leave the old raid in the dust. And now, the only way to get endgame gear, the best gear in the game, is by only doing the new raid. Okay? And, you know, initially that makes sense to me. You know, when the raid first comes out, you want people to focus on the new raid. Get good at the new raid. Get all the gear from the new raid. But they you know, after a couple of months, you know, they should move Vault of Glass, the first raid, up to the same level as Crota's End, or at least create a new difficulty that matches the level of difficulty from Crota's End, and give rewards that are equivalent of the new maximum level from the new difficulty of Vault of Glass. But they didn't do that. And then we had to wait something like 6-8 months. I can't really remember. It was the beginning of the second year. We finally got our third raid, and again they left the previous 2 raids in the dust. And we're actually now 5 months past this third raid coming out, which was Oryx, which is definitely the best raid to date. But all we have is one raid to do. If you want to go back and do the first 2 raids, you definitely can, but there's no point to it. There's no point to it. So, let me make this clear. Currently in Destiny, there is only one event that you can partake in that will give you gear that's worthwhile in a PvE sense, from a PvE standpoint. There are some PvP things going on, Iron Banner, Trial of Osiris, right? There's some really competitive PvP things where you can get really high-end gear. But if you want the best of the best gear in a PvE standpoint, There is one event, one, and it's one raid, and people are just getting sick of it. I mean, it is definitely the best raid I've ever played. King's Fall from the Taken King, where you go and you kill Oryx, right? That is the best raid content I have ever seen. It is challenging, it is creative, it's beautiful, and it's exciting. And there's a couple of different ways to do it too. That's the thing. Like, you know, when you play WoW and you have to kill a boss, it's like, okay, first phase, make sure everybody's standing in a group. Second phase, make sure this guy is DPSing this mob and these guys DPS this mob and kill both mobs at the same time. And third phase, just it's a tank and spank, DPS the boss till he's dead, right? That's the one way you can do it, and that's it. But in the Taken King Fallen or King's Fall, the raid King's Fall, there's like a couple of different ways to do it, and it's really interesting because every time you get a new pickup group, it's like, okay, which method are we doing? Oh, okay, we're doing 8 bomb. Okay, good. Oh, today's the challenge week for Oryx. Okay, so we're doing the 16 bomb method. Okay, that's fine. So, oh wait, I haven't done that one before. Someone explain it. Oh wait, are we doing the 1, 2, 3 pillar method, or is everybody just sticking with the same method and we're switching runners depending on whose pillar is chosen? The point is, there's a lot of different ways to do it, and there's not necessarily a best way for every group. It's actually really interesting because no two attempts at the raid are the same. Whereas, you know, when you did WoW, you kill the boss one time, you kill the boss second time, they were the same way. It's just, did you have enough heals and did you have enough DPS to kill this boss? Yes or no. And it ends the same way. And then you roll your dice, and did you get gear? Yes, no? Okay, whatever. We're going to do it again next week. The point I'm getting at is, no matter how good your content is, if it's not reusable, you're not giving your customers what they want, which is to feel like they're spending their time wisely in an MMO or an RPG sense. Okay? There's a lot of players who there are some players that don't want or don't particularly care about getting the best gear. Okay, they just like the game. They play the game for the sake of playing the game. And, you know, those people are great. I envy those people. I wish I could just play a game for the sake of playing it. But I'm competitive, and I think I speak for the super majority when I say that in an RPG sense, I play for the sole purpose of getting the best gear in the game and getting my sense of progression. Every moment I play the game, I want to be working towards a goal, okay? And when you pigeonhole me into a single event, I'm not going to enjoy it anymore. Okay, so to recap, to just summarize this rather, a lot of content does not matter if you cannot replay the content and feel like you're getting something out of it. Destiny totally fucked this up. Completely fucked this up. There's nothing else you can do in Destiny except for do the raid from a PvE standpoint. The only thing you can do is do the one raid, the latest raid on the hardest difficulty, over and over and over again every week. And that's it. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. But whatever, that's what they decided to go with. And they're really hurting because of it. You know, if you're listening to this and you haven't played Destiny or you haven't paid attention, the Destiny subreddit is in disarray right now because people are just pissed and they're sick of what Bungie has been doing, and they feel like they just keep making wrong decision after wrong decision, and I can't help but agree with them. But here's the division, right? Here's the division, and I am so excited about it. But I have very little faith that Ubisoft understands this problem. The problem being what to do with players when they've gone through all of your content for the first time. So, you know, you can make a game, right? You can sit there and you can make a game. You can spend $150 million on building this game, right? It's only going to take players a couple of hours to get through all of your content, okay? You know, they worked on Half-Life 2 for like 6 years, okay? But you can fly through Half-Life 2's campaign on your first try in, like 6 hours. I mean, reasonably, you can. But what am I getting at with here? What I'm trying to say is nothing you do, no matter how creative you are or how much work you're going to put into a game, players are going to complete the content and they're going to want more. And there is a very simple method to make your content last longer. And that's increase the difficulty of the content, let players repeat the content, increase the difficulty of it a couple of times. Let them do the content once, twice on a harder difficulty, 3 times on an even harder difficulty, ramp it up ad infinitum. I don't give a shit. But keep giving the players something to do. Give them a goal. Well, okay, you don't need to give them a goal. A player's goal is set by the player. I want to be the most powerful. I want to look a specific way. I want a particular gun that I saw in a preview, and I want to get that gun, and when I get that gun, I'll be happy. Whatever your goal is, you as the developer, you can't set the goal. The players set their own goal. But you can rest assured that the players want a interesting and challenging and fun way to challenge themselves to get that goal. They want a way to get that goal, and they want that way to be fun and challenging and interesting and feeling worthwhile. Okay. So, you have your content. Players finish your content in 6 hours. It just happens. You can't do anything about it. Take the goddamn missions in the Division. And there better be dozens of them, because honestly, all you need to do is take existing set pieces within the game, throw some more difficult NPCs in them, add some story elements to the background, and create scripted encounters. Like in the mission that was in the beta, when you secure the doctor but you need to escort her out, you get swarmed by all those dudes with bats and they just come running at you. That's awesome. That was so awesome. Just do more shit like that. Just keep doing shit like that. Keep throwing players different curveballs that they weren't expecting and make them have to, put themselves in different positions to handle it correctly. Whatever. It's simple. I'm sure you've got it. I'm sure that different missions in this game are going to throw us curveballs already, but, just to say it. So anyway, while players are playing this content, they have to feel like they are achieving something, okay? Those drops coming from redoing this content, they need to make me feel more powerful. I need to get gear out of these dungeons. I'm going to call them dungeons. What are they called in the Division? They're called missions, okay? I need to do more difficult missions. And when I do more difficult missions, I want better gear out of them. And I want there to be more difficult missions down the road that I can't even accomplish until I've completed the earlier versions of these missions. I want there to be a path that's going to take me months to accomplish. And then when I'm done, I want to make another character and I want to do it again. And I want to be rewarded for doing so. It kind of makes me nervous in Division because there's no reason right now to create more than one character, and that's a bold move, okay? That's a pretty bold move. It's so in games like Destiny or whatever, or WoW, you make a character, you complete all the content, but no matter how much of the, you could have 100% completed the content, but you haven't done it as a warrior, or you maybe haven't done it as a mage, or maybe you haven't done it as a rogue yet, and it's going to be completely different playing as those characters, because it's going to be, it's a completely different game when you're playing a DPS versus a tank versus a healer. In the Division, any character can do anything. And that, that's kind of scary, because now when a player has completed your game, they've truly completed your game. So Ubisoft they've put themselves in a corner. They really haven't given players much of a reason to replay the game by default. So they need to give us content that we want to do over and over and over again and make it interesting. So here's my fear. The answer to that problem that I've been talking about, I think it's Dark Zone. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but if they think that a majority of players are going to be satisfied with endgame being PvP, they're going to find out that they're wrong. We're going to have this subreddit filled with people bitching that that they're solo players and they don't want to have to rely on a team full of PvP, professionals or whatever you want to call them. I don't give a shit. People who are proficient in PvP, they don't have to rely on them to get endgame content. So right now, it looks a lot like Dark Zone is designed to be the endgame. You go into Dark Zone, you find high-level mobs, you kill them, you have to get to a helicopter pad, and you have to extract it. I love it. I love it. I had so much fun in the Dark Zone in the beta. But I think a lot of players want a true PvE endgame. And I'm pretty certain that we're not getting it in vanilla Division. I really don't think we are. So, but we'll see. We'll see. But this kind of brings something else up. A lot of you are going to be disappointed with this game, no matter how good of a game it is. A lot of people were disappointed with Destiny in vanilla, for reasons that surprised me. Destiny has a lot of problems. Destiny has a lot of problems. To be fair, there's never been a game like Destiny, so, when you are pioneering something, you're gonna fuck a lot of things up. But a lot of people just didn't like Destiny because they went into Destiny expecting it to be, I don't know, another Halo, okay? They wanted it to be another Halo, and then they were like, ooh, cool, Halo with RPG elements, that sounds interesting. But no, it was Destiny is much more of an RPG than it is a shooter. It's an RPG with top-notch shooter elements, okay? All the golden trifecta of Halo, grenades, melee, weapons, is in Destiny full force, plus this new sweet jumping mechanic and supers and yada yada, and then they added RPG elements to it. But really, the RPG elements are the centerpiece of the game. It's all about getting that loot. It's all about grinding your face off to get the better loot, to get the best weapons, and then beat the raids, right? There's a huge grind to it. And these people who come from Halo and didn't play RPGs or didn't like RPGs, didn't play MMOs or didn't like MMOs, they went into Destiny and they played the beta and they're like, yeah, this is sweet. But then they got their real game and reality hit them in the fucking face. And they realized that they didn't like the game. They don't like games like that. They don't like the idea of having to work on a character. I don't know what they were expecting. My brother, he makes me so mad. He doesn't like Destiny because he says it's too grindy, right? I mean, I can't say he's wrong, I can't say he's wrong, but I like it. I like taking my character in WoW and doing 100 dungeons to get powerful enough to do raid content, and then doing the raid every week, smacking my face against the keyboard, staying up way too fucking late just to get my gear score up another 10 points, right? I love it, and a lot of people agree with me. But some of you who are playing the beta, who are looking forward to this latest edition in the Tom Clancy universe, are going to be fucking disappointed, because this isn't going to be just a run through the game once and kill things and get loot and become super powerful. No. There's going to be a lot of fucking grinding. There's going to be a lot of shit you're going to have to kill over and over again. You're going to have to be looking for mobs. You're going to have to be doing missions over and over again just to get the better gear. I mean, Dark Zone might interest you, but the reality is you're going to be sitting in there killing the same mobs over and over and over again, hoping for gear to drop. And if you're coming from like a Call of Duty scene, a Halo scene, maybe earlier Rainbow Six titles scene, a Splinter Cell, I don't know. That's not really a multiplayer game. But if you're coming here from like a shooter standpoint and you like shooters and you found The Division, or some of your friends told you, hey, there's a shooter coming out called Division, and you have never played a Diablo, a WoW, anything like that, even Destiny, there's going to be some culture shock. And a lot of you are going to hate it. And I think it's hilarious because I knew my brother didn't like MMOs, but my brother was actually the one that got me into Destiny. And I bought a PS4 just to play Destiny. I hate consoles. I'm all about that PC master race. So I bought a PS4 to play Destiny, and I liked the beta a lot. It reminded me of Halo, and that was a good thing. And then when the game came out, my brother went through the game, started kind of getting disenfranchised. We did the raid once, and he said, yeah, that was pretty cool, and never did it again because that didn't interest him. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like MMOs. He doesn't like RPGs. He doesn't like grinding. He doesn't give a fuck about his character. He just wants to play content, and he wants that content to be good. Now, that's not asking too much, but it's not feasible, right? You can't make an MMO where every single encounter you do is unique. It's not feasible. You cannot create months of content for a player to digest and have it all unique. That's impossible. It's just, you're talking about a couple $1 billion worth of development costs. It's just impossible. So, they're not wrong for wanting what they were expecting. But, if you're expecting Division to be this long, linear game where you just do unique content from beginning to end and it's all fresh all the time until you get to the end and then you beat the game, that's not what this is. No, sorry. It's not going to be like that. And I think you're going to be disappointed. I think you're going to get to the part where you have to grind to get to the next part of the content. Like, I'm going to call it raid content, but whatever the most difficult dungeons are. And you're going to not want to do it, and you're going to be disappointed. And I feel sorry for you because I think a lot of games are going that way because I think a majority of people like having characters that are super cool and super flashy and they're proud of their characters. But there's a lot of people out there who don't give a shit about that and they just want to shoot things and they don't want to have to plan their characters out or work on their characters. It's if it's not your cup of tea, that's fine. I'm not making fun of you. It's just Division's not going to be for you if you don't like WoW, if you don't like Destiny, if you don't like Diablo. You are not going to like Division. Even though it has guns, the guns are just, they might as well be swords. There's no difference. In terms of what the game is, you are killing things, you are getting experience, you're getting better gear to kill things that are more powerful. Okay? It has guns, and I like that, but it's still an MMO, it's still an RPG. And I love it. Oh, God. I love the people on this subreddit that are like, it's not a fucking MMO. MMOs are like, wow, this has guns in it, you fuck. You're so stupid. You're so simple-minded. Like, you can't see past the flashy grenades and the rolling mechanics and the cover mechanics and the guns to understand that at its core, your loop, when you play this game, you log in, you're going to grind for better gear, you're going to log out. It's the same loop as an MMO. You're not playing this like you're playing Halo where you get on with 4 of your friends and you try to, just come up with new tactics and that's it. I'm not trying to downplay that. Like, Halo is extremely complicated. It's not like Counter-Strike where you're just learning how to do your job a little bit better. No, it's grinding. It's mindless grinding until you get better gear and then you get to try the new content out. So, I guess this is a reality check for some of you. So, a lot of you that are listening, prepare to be disappointed. The rest of you, you're going to probably enjoy the game. So, let's see. Where does this leave me? I got some notes here that I was writing down. La-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-da. Yeah, no, I think that's it. I think I've covered everything I wanted to. So, yeah, if you listen to all this, I appreciate you. I don't actually know why I make these videos. I just wanted to talk about the game because it's going to be interesting. March 8th is going to be the beginning of the end for a lot of people's interest in this game. But going forward, the game is going to grow, undoubtedly. I just hope people realize that there's no way in hell Ubisoft learned from all of the mistakes that Destiny made. There's no way in hell. So, prepare to get to the end of the game and feel empty. Because, to my knowledge, Ubisoft has never made anything with RPG elements in it. So, and certainly, they've never made an MMO. So, yeah, it'll be fun. I can't wait to watch yet another company learn how to build an MMO. It's like, I've seen it happen 3 times in recent history. Blizzard relearning how to make a Diablo. That was interesting. Bungie with Destiny. And now we get to watch Ubisoft, which, by the way, Ubisoft is a shit company. They are so bad. They're so bad. I mean, they have Splinter Cell, but they're a bad company. They really are. Anyway, it's going to be really fun watching the Tom Clancy crew make an MMO. they're going to release this, they're going to get smacked around by the community. Like, where the fuck's my endgame content? How did you not realize that we were going to get bored with this after a week? I can't wait. It's going to be, oh, I'm just going to love it. I'm going to love it. But no, for those of us who you know, have real lives outside of video games, it's going to be fun to watch because, I don't know, we're in a new age. Video games are changing. Yeah, you know, we've hit this limitation where we can't really make games look any better than they do now, because there's really not much of a point to make them look any better because they look good enough. Like, you're not gonna need a game to look better than Crysis 3, and most people these days have computers that can run Crysis 3. So it's no longer about making games look better. It's about making games that people want to play a lot and spend a lot of money on. And this new genre, I don't even know what to call it, the Destiny-like genre, it's an interesting one. This open world, persistent MMO shooter hybrid, it's pretty cool. And this is really only the second title. The Division is pretty much the second attempt at this. And I just can't wait to see how they handle all the frustrations that the Destiny community has been having. But yeah, it's getting pretty late. I'm going to go to bed. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, if you have anything that you want to talk about, just, you know, throw them in the comments of either the Reddit thread that I'm going to put up or my YouTube channel. But yeah, this has been Mr. Disbrowsium. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you. Have a good night, and I love each of you in a unique way. Good night, guys.